Welcome to my YouTube channel and podcast. My name is Chris Jackman. I'm with the Aberdeen Law Firm. And I just wanted to go over a common question for this particular channel and this particular podcast that I hear a lot from current clients as well as people who call our office looking for advice. And one of the most common questions that we hear is, how long is my divorce going to last? How long will it take to finish the process? And like a lot of things in family law, the honest answer is it depends. And it really depends on a couple of different factors, some of which are within your control and some possibly aren't within your control. The first road that you can go down in terms of your divorce is what's called an uncontested divorce or non-contested. And that just means that you and your spouse are in complete agreement about your divorce. And if that's the case, if there's literally nothing that you're arguing over, whether it's your children, your home, any cars or belongings you have, if you're in agreement about what you want to do with all of those things, you are going to go down what I call road number one, and that is the uncontested divorce. And assuming you and your spouse sign the documents, get those documents filed, or have a lawyer do that for you, then you will be divorced in 90 days, 9-0. You might be wondering, well, if we're in a complete agreement, why is it taking 90 days to finalize the divorce from the day that we file the documents in court? And the reason is that there's what's called a kiss and make up period. And that just means that the courts and the judge want to make absolutely sure that you and your spouse actually want to get a divorce. So that's why there's that 90-day waiting period between when you're legally separated and when you're actually divorced. So if you're going to go down the uncontested route and you're in complete agreement, you're looking at 3 months before you're legally divorced and able to remarry if that's what you're looking to do. The second road that you can go down is what's called the contested divorce route. And that's probably what you would assume, meaning that you and your spouse are in disagreement about something over the terms of your divorce. And that could be anything from who's going to parent your children, how your children will be parented. It could be what's going to be done with your home, with your retirement accounts. I mean, it could literally be as simple as what's happening with some of your furniture. If there's any disagreement at all, you're going down the contested route, and that could take well up to a year, if not longer. The reason why I say a year is that typically when you file your divorce, you get a trial date that's about a year away. Sometimes it's a year to the day of when you file. Now, just because the trial date is in a year, A, doesn't mean you're necessarily going to go to trial, and B, it also doesn't necessarily mean that you'll have the trial on that day. We've had many cases over the years, especially in the post-COVID world that we're in, where the trial gets pushed back sometimes a year and a half, even 2 years later, depending on how busy the court is. So, if you and your spouse are really bitterly fighting over things in your case, you're looking at possibly a year or more. Now, to go back to what I mentioned a moment ago, not every case goes to trial. When we talk about a trial, it's just what you've seen in the movies and on TV shows. Well, you'll have to go in front of a judge. It's typically a judge that decides these matters. There aren't very many jury trials in the country for family law. And the judge will make a decision as to what you and your spouse are going to do with your children or with your property or whatever it is that you're fighting over. But I can tell you from experience that almost 90% of cases, 95% of cases will settle, meaning there will be an agreement before you get to trial. So from the time that you file, let's say you file on January 2nd, of a year, and the trial is the following year on January 2nd, there's a very good chance that at some point during the course of that year, you will settle that case. But whether that's going to be in February or it's going to be in December, on the eve potentially of trial, is largely up to you and your spouse as to how that's going to get worked out. But those are the timetables in terms of how long this whole process is going to take. And I always tell my clients that they need to think about that and think about the emotional kind of toll it's going to take if you're going to have to fight with your spouse for upwards of a year, as well as just how expensive it could possibly be for you to have to pay for a lawyer, possibly experts in your case. So I always tell my clients that if you can find a way to get your case wrapped up quickly, that's the best way to go. Because it's good for everybody if you can find quicker rather than longer ways to find a resolution to your case. So this is a short podcast, and this topic is an important one, and I just wanted to touch on it because it's, like I said, a question I hear over and over again. So to summarize, if you're going through a divorce, you're looking at a minimum of 90 days. And if you're in a very contested matter, you're looking at well over a year potentially. If you ever have questions about how long your particular case is going to last, or what we can do possibly for your case, feel free to give us a call. Click on the link on our website, and we would love to sit down and talk with you about your case. And until next time, I'm Chris Jackman with the Aberdeen Law Firm.